Welcome back. Yes, the smiles are wide this morning. Footy fans are gearing up as the World Cup enters its 92nd year, my brother. That is incredible. So the FIFA tournament kicked off in Qatar this weekend, obviously officially the smallest country ever to host the world's biggest sporting event and the third richest country in the world to do it. Just putting that out
kind
there.
of balances out.
Yeah, and while many have taken a social media stance to share in the excitement, some groups have obviously also spoken out and used their voice about concerns about the event and obviously the cultural attachments, the baggage, if you will. And today we sit down with news editor Roy Simpson as well as Good Hope FM's seasoned sportscaster Lorenzo Durries to discuss what to expect from the much-anticipated sporting spectacular.
Yeah, and what a spectacular it is. And of course, we encourage you at home to join in on the discussion and the conversation. Share your thoughts and experiences with us. If you are, maybe you're watching us from Qatar right now. Do so by sending us a voice note, 063... What's the number again?
408-8863.
That's the number.
Give out your own number one day. You are this close.
Gents, great to have you with us. Good morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Lorenzo, I mean, there's lots of questions I want to ask you, buddy, but who's your money on, first of all? I've just got to get it out the way.
Sure. My heart says Brazil.
Okay.
But my money's on Argentina at the moment.
Ooh. I'm in for the emotion.
There is so much feeding towards this being the best ever World Cup on the pitch. If you take the timing, where these players are in their own domestic seasons, they should be peak fitness, peak skills, everything is set. The board is set. I love it. But the position of that board is completely different to anything we've experienced before. This is a major milestone for the Arab nations. Why has this become such a watershed moment, just to unpack the baggage of the world right now?
You know what, we saw a few days ago with the FIFA executive coming out and saying certain things, the way it looked yesterday, the feel of it. If you just go to social media at the moment, the hype of the World Cup is not there like it was yesteryear. You know, a lot of people saying yesterday, like, 2010, you know, Brazil, totally different. Just doesn't feel real at the moment.
Yeah.
It feels like something else is overshadowing it.
Absolutely, yeah. We touched on that a little bit on our conversation last week. And of course, Roy, you can't take your eyes away from, you know, the money aspect when it comes to the World Cup. They've dropped some bars, if we could say that, with the official budget of some $10 billion and even further than that, $290 billion.
Yeah, I think that's more the number here.
Exactly.
which is more money than has been spent collectively on all the World Cups to date.
So what do you think is the end game of such an approach, and what are they trying to say? What's the message being put out?
And to be honest, I think it was quite cynical, the whole bid process. It was quite a cynical attempt to sports wash their image. That's a lovely term for like whitewashing away.
I hear you.
All those things that are unpalatable to... You want to attract these visitors to your country from more liberal nations. And so you need to up your image and polish it up a little bit. And hosting an event like this is one way to do that. And of course, they're just not equipped, or they weren't when they won this bid. So they've had to do everything from scratch. They've created a metro system. They've built a city for 250,000 people around the stadium where the final will happen. So yeah, that comes at a cost, eh?
$290 billion.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
Brain can't actually compute.
Yeah,
struggling to figure out what that end game is. And I know a lot of that infrastructure is going to be gifted and it's going to be handed, but for the players themselves, and if we look at the footballing structures, we've obviously seen certain players, obviously Egypt's Mohamed Salah, from Algeria, Rabah Maja. Once they move into that European fold, we're starting to see the real pedigree. Do you think this is going to start a shift in that sense? Taking, for instance, the Qatari side, who all play in Qatar, for, I'm sure, a pretty price purse. They don't need to go to Europe, I'm sure, to chase the money. But we're going to surely see the world's eyes open to the talent that is in that area.
No, definitely. Firstly, just to touch on that, I think 13 players play for Al Sadd. And that's 13 players. Xavi was there as well. So you can see the investment that they put in it. 12 years in the making, trying to get a team that can really compete. Now they also have, remember we used to have the Confed Cup. And now they've got the Arab Cup, FIFA Arab Cup. So a lot of money being pushed into that side of the world so that they can, you know, grow the game, firstly, then get those players to play in the English Premier League, in the Bundesliga. And I think after this World Cup, we might see 2 or 3 players, you know, just move across into those leagues, and they'll take it as a win. They'll definitely.
And of course, with the upward trajectory of women's football all across the world, you'd hope that these are small steps that we could take in, you know, in these kind of states to shed some positivity on various issues, shall we say. We shall continue this conversation on the other side of a very short break. We will enjoy some beautiful music, but of course keep those thoughts coming in 063-408-8863. Nailed it.
Did it. Boom.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue our focus on the World Cup. World Cup hosts Qatar, an energy and investment powerhouse with immense influence as a diplomatic power broker, if you will. And they are currently really under the spotlight as the international competition obviously kicked off yesterday. And while many have taken to social media to share their excitement about the footballing on offer, some human rights groups have understandably also voiced their concerns around the event.
Absolutely. And today we get to chat about the World Cup with Heart FM News editor Roy Simpson, as well as Good Hope FM's seasoned sportcaster Lorenzo Darius. And of course, we encourage you to weigh in on the topic. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Send us your voice notes on 063-408-8863.
And this is a safe place, okay? I suppose this comes to bear, this question, in this conversation. We want to talk about the football, but it's almost impossible to do that. But let's try. Let's try and talk about the football.
For a moment.
Because there is so much history involved for certain teams here. So many players, individual players, and it's this time. Now, it's the time for the GOAT to put up his hand.
Which one?
Yeah, which one exactly? And I think a lot of people saying, a lot of people saying this might be Neymar's chance to supersede the others. There is an opportunity here, people talking about Harry Kane as a possible golden boot, but not that England have the chance of opportunity of repeating their 1966 drama. So who are you most excited about? Belgium, Brazil, Argentina. There are so many teams. What matchups are you looking forward to the most? What are those must-sees?
I've got three.
Okay.
You know, and I have to put it like that. We like doing things in three, though. So we've got Spain and Germany. Which is going to be a classic, right? And then one that a lot of people might not say is a big one, but I think it is. It's Wales versus England. You know, quite close to home. You know, guys are playing together. They know each other quite well, and there's a bit of a history between those two countries
and
as
Wales
well.
can do it. Wales, they've got those moments. They've got those
they do.
players,
And then I think the one that we've all been waiting for since 2010 is Ghana and Uruguay.
Oh, yes, come on with it now.
Suarez and his hand. What's going to happen? I think we've got one of the AU brothers that was part of the team as well. So they're going to be chilling there, just watching them and being like, we're waiting for you guys. We've got something to prove. So that's a big one for the African continent.
Absolutely.
Against the South American heavyweights.
And they did us dirty, man.
Yeah, they did.
Us dirty. Now go back and look at that footage. It's like dirty.
We've actually got a voice note right now from Sinotemba. Let's have a listen. Good morning.
Good morning. I was disappointed with the Qatar. I was hoping maybe they're going to do well. I was really disappointed with them, their performance. And the VAR, that first goal that was disallowed, that was a goal.
Ooh.
I am backing the Portugal, simple because I'm CR7 fan. I want him to retire with a gold World Cup medal. Is that too much to ask for? No. Ronaldo.
I'm sure Ronaldo is asking the very same thing. Is it too much? So we had a CR7.
With all of the emotions and frustration.
Feeling for Qatar.
Hope. Oh, my goodness. All right, we've got another one. Mohammed, good morning to you.
Brazil all the way. I don't see how they're going to stop Neymar and Vinny Jr. and Rafinha and Rodrigo.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, short and sweet, Brazil all the way. And the lists, well, just about the entire team are game-changer, X-factor kind of players. Roy, beyond the fanfare, obviously human rights, the big kind of, we talk about this being a watershed moment. What does this actually mean? As a journalist, how have you been able to wrap your head around the fact that this is actually happening?
There's been so much attention on not the football part of it. And I think watershed's a really nice word to use because right from the very start there's been controversy around how they won the bid and, you know, the issues around basically buying the World Cup. And we know that we did, for example.
Yeah,
We've got,
I think everyone probably has, buddy, to be honest.
well, certainly during that era.
Yeah.
And I think this is a changing of the era. Qatar was just that step too far. The awarding of this to a country with all of these issues around it just became that thing that changed things. So you now have a system where FIFA have changed their bidding process adjudication rules to now include issues like human rights, workers' rights,
female representation.
Yeah, non-discrimination. These things are now built into how they're going to assess the bids. And that's a lasting legacy. That's something that may actually come to change the nature of how FIFA interacts with the world. I mean, Gianni Infantino, very keen to go, oh, you know, we're part of the world, but now football really has to interact properly.
So do you think then
that
at this point, then that's where people can draw a positive inference from what's happening right now, that it resulted in these changes and possibly further changes to come?
Absolutely. And then when you look at Qatar, for example, one of the big issues has been the issue of migrant labor, the kafala system, which it's dangerously close to slavery. It's been critiqued over and over again. So we know what the problems are. But now in 2020, the state has taken over that system. Instead of having independent patrons looking after these migrant workers, which was the problem, that's where the big abuse happened. Now the state is involved. Whether that sustains after the glare of the media is off in like a month's time, that we've got to see. But the point is we've made that. That's a victory that's happened.
Right.
And you celebrate that. And now the next fight starts, which is to keep that in place.
Here we go.
But there are two big changes. So that's positive, yes.
Well, these are changes that our kids, when our kids play at the next World Cups that they're going to play at.
Go, boys.
You know, these are changes. This is legacy. And we talk so much about legacy after a World Cup. Where's the 2010 legacy? Where will the Qatar legacy be? But we have an opportunity, as we were saying earlier, to watch some of the best football you will ever see in your life at this particular World Cup. So we're going to keep the focus on there for a little bit of the time, at least.